Hi, my name is Jody Herforth, and I am the Access Housing Program Outreach and Advocacy Coordinator for Arizona Behavioral Health Corporation, also known as ABC Housing. Today, I'm going to review our new online application for you, for those of you who may not have had an opportunity to attend a training. So let's start by talking about the types of housing within this program. First, we have scattered site. This allows the member the most choice. They can live near their natural supports, provided the landlord accepts the voucher and the unit falls within the fair market rent assigned to that voucher. This is open to both SMI and GIMSU designated individuals, provided the GIMSU members are high cost, high need. And we'll talk more about that in a minute. Then we have two site-based options. There's the community living program and project-based vouchers. Community living are a set inventory. They may be shared or independent. I will tell you that in the central GSA, they are predominantly shared, which means the individual will have their own bedroom, but will share the common areas. In the northern region, they're predominantly independent. These can come with service supports or not, and they are only open to individuals of an SMI determination. Then we have project-based vouchers. Also within a set inventory, these are typically LIHTC properties where the developer receives certain tax credits in exchange for setting aside units for members in our program. So the couple of these that are coming online are brand new. They're beautiful. They have wonderful amenities. They are, again, only open to those with an SMI determination. They are appropriate for individuals and families. And many of these will also have service supports on site, which is another nice feature. Let's look at program eligibility. So, of course, the member does need to be an Access member. They need to be age 18 or older. They can apply before the age of 18, but they will not be referred to a voucher until they are 18 years old. The one exception to that is if they are an emancipated minor, which in Arizona can occur at age 16. They must be a U.S. citizen or other legal immigration status. They must, of course, have a housing need, although it can range from housing instability to actual homelessness. And we'll talk more about those in a moment. And finally, they must have a behavioral health need. As mentioned, scattered site, both SMI determined or GIMSU, Title 19 high cost, high need are eligible. And community living and project-based are for SMI determined individuals only. So the new online application encompasses three forms. There's the GIMSU pre-application, the full AHP housing application, and the AHP change form. These went live on April 5th, and the last day in which we'll accept the PDF paper versions is June 5th. So just keep that date in mind. These are through FormSite and they are HIPAA compliant. So no more having to worry about encrypting the documents you're sending over. These can be found in the same place as previously on our website at www.azabc.org. In the blue bar across the top, the second tab to the left, Access Housing Program, all the way down in the drop box to for case managers. And then you'll find all three of these forms. Again, this can only be submitted for the member through an approved behavioral health agency. The member is not allowed to submit these on their own. Looking at the process, let's look at GIMSU first because there is an additional step. In the past, you had to fill out the full application only to potentially find that the member is not high cost, high need. So we want to shorten that process for you. So we are gathering just the minimal information required to check with the health plan to see if the member is high cost, high need. This is for GIMSU only. So you'll do a pre-application. You'll wait approval, and then assuming the member does meet that requirement, then from there, the process is the same as for SMI. The full application would be completed. There's a small wait for approval time. Then assuming the member is eligible, they will be placed on the wait list. And from that point until the time they obtain their voucher. If there are any changes, a change form would need to be submitted. Let's start by looking at the GymSU pre-application. Again, the purpose of this is to verify with the health plan that the member is high cost, high need. So we collect a minimum amount of information to do that. In addition to checking with the health plan, we do ask you if there are any special medical needs, such as the member is wheelchair dependent, they are oxygen dependent, or they have visual or hearing impairment resulting in deafness or blindness. We do say to give us approximately 7 business days to receive a response. However, it can take longer. So you are welcome to check with us after those 7 business days, but just know that is an approximate time frame. If approved, you'll receive a notice either way, but if approved, please keep that email because you will need to submit it during the full application. So let's start with a full application. First part, of course, is self-explanatory. I just want to note it is important to include any former names. The reason being is sometimes members have been on our program before under another name. Maybe they were married, now they're unmarried, or vice versa. Sometimes they just change their name. And so it's important that we be able to capture all of the information we have on the member. Then going down to gender, you can see to the right what those options will be. Please note, we also added an option of choose not to disclose. Then going down to citizenship status, there's going to be 3 options. One is, of course, U.S. citizen, and you will be required to input their social security number. Please note that if a question or an area has an asterisk, that means you will not be able to get past that without inputting that information. However, some of those are if then. So if you say no to something, it's not going to pop up something that's not relevant. Then the next option is legal immigrant status. And to find out what qualifies as that, you can go to the Access portal. They're going to have documents that are legitimate proof of that. If you need more specifications on that, you can go ahead and email us at ahpinfo@azabc.org, and you'll see that email at the end, and we can give you that link or just that list of what qualifies. For both of those items, there is a place that their documentation can be input. So the Social Security card or the eligible immigrant documentation. You'll notice they don't have an asterisk. So if you don't have them at that time, you will be able to upload them later through the change form. Obviously, if you do have them, we would love for you to submit them right away so we have them. We will need front and back of the Social Security card. Please make sure it's legible. We've had some issues with that. And we know that those cards get lost or stolen. So we know sometimes it takes a while to get them. So when you have them, please do send them our way. And then the final option is non-citizen. And if you select that option, you will get an alert stating that the member is not eligible for this program and suggesting that you reach out to 211. Next, we have race. We have since added an option of choose not to disclose for both race and gender. However, and just in general, the more information we can collect, the better for reporting, but we do want to have that option for people who are not comfortable stating. Is the member a veteran? That's self-explanatory. Will other persons be living in the household? That could be adults or minors. You will need to submit documentation on those. Please note with adults, it does not mean the applicant. So it's anybody besides the applicant. Then we try and capture the member's contact information. We have since removed the asterisk from the phone number because we have been informed that sometimes members don't have a phone. It's been lost, it's stolen, it's shut off for whatever reason. However, again, the more contact information we can have, the better. So if you do have the phone number and or email address, please do include those. Which health plan is the member currently enrolled in, and the access ID number, pretty self-explanatory. Just make sure that access ID number is complete. And then going back here to designation, are they SMI or GymSU, Title 19? If you select GymSU, you will get this alert. GMSU members are only eligible for AHP if they are determined high cost, high need by their health plan. Only the health plan may determine this. You must first complete the GMSU pre-application and receive an approval from ABC staff that we verified with the health plan that the member is high cost, high need. At that point, if you had not done that step, you will have an option of clicking there and going to the pre-application and coming out of the full application. If you already completed the pre-application and received an approval, please attach your approval email below. Okay. To capture in what county and city the member currently resides. Once you populate a county, the cities will automatically correspond to that county. Then we ask if the member is willing to relocate in another county other than the one listed above. Couple of notes on this. This is especially pertinent in the northern region where resources are more spread out. You might be closer actually to a CLP property, community living property, in a county that's adjacent to you than to your own county. So it's helpful to know if you're willing to do that. However, we do want you to keep in mind, if you cross over a geographical service area specifically into a different REBA, then a REBA transfer must first take place before you can fill out this application. So otherwise it does need to be within the same REBA. Then let's look at housing need. Is the person experiencing actual homelessness? In other words, they lack a regular nighttime residence. Are they going through an institutional or hospital discharge where they have no safe place to go upon discharge? One side note about that, while the member is eligible in that situation, there is no way to fast track them into housing. So just please be aware of that. You can get this process started, but if they need some type of temporary or transitional housing, that would be another type of program. And then finally, other identified housing crisis or instability. If you check that box, you're going to get this question. Please specify the reason. Are they fleeing domestic violence? Are they living in a physical setting that may result in harm? Are they experiencing frequent physical or behavioral health inpatient hospitalization or treatment? And then finally, which housing model is most appropriate for the member's need? Please make sure client agrees with these choices and check all that apply. So you can check all three if the member genuinely is open to any type of housing and provided they are, of course, SMI. If you check CLP, Community Living Program, then we need to know if it's shared or independent, or both, that the member is open to. Now, from here on, this is going to apply only to the central GSA. Are they requesting a unit with service supports or without? And then within the central GSA, there is specialty housing available. There are also ACT teams that are associated with specific CLP properties. And then here, if a member is also on an ACT team, have you submitted a duplication of service supports to Mercy Care? And finally, we ask that you have the member sign so we know that they understand and have buy-in into what they're signing up for. We have had some issues in the past where a member will sign up for shared housing. Maybe they don't really connect what that means. And so when they get to the top of the wait list, they decline that. So important to just make sure that they're, as much as possible, understanding what it is they're signing up for. In the other two GSAs, your screen is going to look more like this. Is it shared or independent? And then have the member sign, which brings me to verbal consent. We have added verbal consent as an option based on feedback we received both from the northern region, where things are more spread out and a case manager may not see a member for many, many, many months, and from our telehealth providers that never see a member. However, there are a couple caveats to that. If you do see a member and they just are a no-show that day, they're out sick, they aren't present for a temporary reason, please do reschedule. We just really feel like a member that is present for the process may have more buy-in and understanding of what it is they're signing up for. And then if you choose verbal consent, we're going to ask you when it was given, how it was given. If via email, we ask you to upload that, and then the reason for the verbal consent. And then the other important point to note is if the member never receives in-person visits, please describe what team member or community referral will support the member in person through intake and housing search once there is an availability for housing assistance. This is a requirement for all referring agencies, so please keep that in mind. Okay, let's talk about waitlist prioritization. Once on the wait list, waiting times may vary. We cannot guarantee or approximate when the member will receive housing assistance. When there is availability in the AHP program, the next member on the top of the wait list is chosen. Priority is given to members based on a number of factors included in the Access Housing Program Guidebook, which you will find on our website under Access Housing Program. We will never give out a number to where a member is at on the wait list. The reason is this is a very fluid process. So at any given time, if members with higher prioritization come in, the numbers do shift. So we would never give out that number and create an expectation that may change the next day. So just be aware of that. If someone says a number, that's not accurate. However, having said that, there are some things you can do to help your member. First of all, you can submit a completed singles or family VI SPDAT if the household is high scoring. For singles, this is 8 and above. For families, this is 9 and above. If the member is currently living in a shelter or other place not meant for human habitation, you may submit a homeless verification letter. All letters must be on the agency's letterhead, and if you have questions about what they need to include, we can send you a copy of the HVL template. This one is so important. It's so often when I check on the status of a member, I will see that they are experiencing actual homelessness, but they're not receiving those prioritization points because a homeless verification letter was never received. So this is a big way you can help your member. It's still not going to be immediate, but it definitely does make a difference. And if you have either of those items, you can submit them right here, but you will also be able to submit them later through the change form if you do not. And then a couple of other prioritizations are that high cost, high need that I spoke about and the special care needs, but those are not things you can impact. Those are things that we would be determined through the health plan. Okay, then who can submit an application? On the right, you'll see the agency types that are accepted. We have added PSH service provider. That being said, we're asking the service provider to sign off that they agree to notify the behavioral health home case manager the submitted application. This is so important. Being on the wait list is unfortunately a bit of a long-term commitment. And PSH service providers often provide shorter term support. So we do need to know that there's someone that's going to be there in person to walk them through that intake and finding housing. That's where the behavioral health home will typically come in, and a case manager and clinical coordinator or housing specialist named. So please do include that information. Please do not duplicate what's over here to what's over here. We have had that happen as well. If your agency is not listed, then it is not an approved referring agency. Please email ahpinfo@azabc.org to inquire about your agency's ability to submit applications to the Access Housing Program. At that point, you'll have to exit the application, and you can also reach out to 211 for other housing resources. It is possible, provided you meet Access's guidelines, that you can be approved. So that is an option. You just would not be able to finish the application at that point. Okay, then we do have the release of information again, and this will review for the individual who we may be disclosing information to and why, and of course will require their signature. Finally, you'll hit submit and you'll receive this. Your form has been submitted, but still requires review. The case manager will receive an email in 4 business days to confirm if the application has been accepted or denied. If it is denied, a reason and next steps will be provided. Regardless of the outcome, the case manager is required to inform the member of any updates. Please do keep an eye on your inbox for emails from AHP applications at azabc.org. This is how we're going to email you if there's something that's not quite right with the application itself. And it's also how we're going to email you to let you know if it's been accepted or denied. Just know that if there's some missing information or, for instance, a wrong designation, something of that nature, the member will not go on the wait list until that is corrected. So important to watch that and important to read those communications thoroughly. Also important to keep your member informed. The member is required, it is AHCCCS's requirement that they go through you as their behavioral health agency. So they are dependent on you for this information. Waiting list and next steps. The member may not complete intake until IDs are submitted. So the sooner you can get those IDs in so the member is document ready, the better. Respond to emails in a timely manner. This is going to be especially important when the invitation for intake happens, as that may expire. And unfortunately, occasionally what happens is we may be on a pause after that. So if the member misses that briefing or orientation or intake, whichever you want to refer to it as, they may have quite a wait if it just happens to fall on when we're at capacity. Please do update ABC if a member is no longer in need of housing. You can do that through AHP info at azabc.org. All other changes, once the member is on wait list, need to come through that change form. And then we do perform a biannual waitlist cleanup. Know, though, that we will not remove approved applications unless one of the following situations occurs. One is that the member is enrolled in an AHP housing program in either scattered site, CLP, or project-based. Another is that the member or you report that their housing needs have been met. And finally, when the member is contacted by the housing administrator on multiple occasions for program enrollment and does not respond, we will reach out to their health plan as sort of a last effort, but after that, they will be removed from the wait list. Okay, now let's review the AHP change form. Is the member currently on the AHP waitlist? Your answer to this, if you're doing the change form, should be yes. If your answer is no, then we're going to have you fill out the actual application instead. If you're not sure, the case manager may email us at ahpinfo@azabc.org to request the status of the member as to whether or not they're on the wait list. Please do include their date of birth with that. And remember, we'll not be giving you a number. We'll just be confirming that they either are or are not on the wait list. Then with the second question, your answer to this should be no. Is the member currently in housing with the AHP program? If you say yes, then you would make that change by contacting the housing specialist with Home Inc. directly. So this is only for those who are currently on the wait list. Okay, some items that you can change. Does the member need to change the household composition? And I know it says family members here, but it's really, is anyone going to be living in the household that you have not reported? So that's where you would do that. Keep in mind, again, number of adults does not include the applicant. It's just anyone additional to that. Does the member need to change the housing program type? If so, to what? And what is the reason for that? Does the member need to change the case manager contact information? Does the member need to change which county and city they currently reside in? And finally, do you need to upload a VI-SPDAT, a homeless verification letter, or identification documents? And you can do that on more than one occasion. So if things kind of trickle in, feel free to submit those and get those over to us. And that is pretty much all I have for you, with the exception of some contact information. I'm going to pause here for a moment. You'll see up here is our website, azabc.org. This next one, homeinc.com, under Find, will allow you to figure out who your member's housing specialist is with home once they're in the program. That is typically by last name, alphabetical, or assigned alphabetically by last name. And then other contact information. Here's that AHP info at azabc.org. That is where you can check on the status of your member and ask any other questions related to the program. There is the AHP applications at azabc.org. That is where, if you are submitting the paper version still, that's where you submit that to. But even once that goes away, that is how we will be communicating with you about whether or not the application's been accepted. And finally, there's my email address, jodyh@azabc.org. If I can assist you with any training or any other questions, I'm happy to do so. Thank you.